Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. My name is Brother Omar L. Rashed, and I am the author, poet, and Peaceful Heart's Guide. And a little bit about me, I struggle with bipolar disorder, and I have for many years. And I was pushed to the brink because of my depression to attempt suicide several times, and by the grace of Allah I was saved, and He protected me. He saved my life and not only helped me to survive but to thrive, and He showed me a way that I can not only feel good about myself and recover from depression, anxiety, and bipolar, but also that I can help others who are struggling in the same way. And one of the things that was so helpful about this approach was one of the things that I learned, which is a quality that I noticed was indicative of my suffering, and that was a sign of my need for help and assistance. And that is tolerating the intolerable. And before I get into the topic, I really want to share with you that there is a resource in the link and in the comments. So if you comment and share, you'll be able to access a link that has a resource that can truly help you to stop tolerating the intolerable. If that's something that resonates with you, if something that you struggle with, or that you know that there are people in your life who are doing things and saying things to you that don't align with what you believe you're worthy of, and that you don't like and don't appreciate, and yet you tolerate it day in and day out, even though you want better for yourself, then this is a resource that can help you to get to that stage and to take care of yourself. Because the ultimate key in all of this is self-worth. And so I'm going to share with you what's going on with this idea of tolerating the intolerable. So in my life, I was a part of a very destructive and unhealthy marriage for many years, actually 7 years. And I was being taken advantage of. My ex-wife would constantly tell me things that I needed to do and that I wasn't doing, and make me feel guilty for not doing much. Now I want to share with you, I was working full-time, I had a part-time job, and I was responsible for the child care more than 70% of the time. It was me who woke up with the children and changed their diapers and bathed them and washed them and did all of the fatherly duties the entire time. And she was a stay-at-home wife, so it was her job to take care of the kids, but all of the burden was put on me. And my family members told me, Omar, you're being taken advantage of. You're not being treated well. You need to speak up for yourself. You need to stand up for yourself. My friends told me, Omar, what you're dealing with is not normal. Most people don't do all of these things. Your wife is manipulating you. She's taking advantage of you. But I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it, and I couldn't stop it. I was tolerating the intolerable. So many of my friends, as I described to them after, how in the world did you put up with that for 7 years? And the reason I put up with it was because I didn't feel in my heart of hearts that I was worth more. She would tell me, Omar, you're a bad Muslim if you don't take care of me. Omar, you're a bad Muslim if you don't do everything. Omar, you're not taking care of your relationship with Allah. Allah will be angry at you. No one should be telling you that Allah will be angry at you if you are not doing that which is above and beyond. And not only that, but they're not doing their part. Part of the Islamic call is to not only encourage good in others, but to do good in ourselves. And if someone is constantly reminding you of what you're not doing, but they're not taking care of their responsibilities, then that's a sign. That's a sign of injustice. That's a sign of misappropriation. That's a sign of not taking care of responsibilities. And it's a sign that you may be tolerating the intolerable. And for years, 7 years, I was taken advantage of. And it started off with small things. It didn't start off with everything big. But over time, I realized, and it finally dawned on me, that I am tolerating the intolerable. And that is one of the fundamental signs of dysfunctional families and dysfunctional parenting and dysfunctional life. If you find yourself tolerating the intolerable, then we need something to help us to overcome and to get out of that situation. We should not be tolerating the intolerable. And in our personal relationships, we need to have healthy boundaries. That's something else that I didn't really have knowledge of, and I didn't really enforce, and I didn't know how to have healthy boundaries. And in fact, I'm a part of a group where we help other people who are struggling with depression, and there was one person that a group of us were trying to help, and this man was attacking us, verbally abusing us, insulting us. And many of the other people were like, oh, well, he's just going through a hard time. It's okay. It's maybe I did something wrong. No, we don't tolerate the intolerable. And one of the signs that I know that I've grown in such a great degree is that when this individual did that to me, after the first comment, I blocked and banned him, and I did not interact with him again. And I didn't take remorse, and I didn't feel bad, and I didn't feel like, oh, I wish I could help him. He was attacking and abusing and aggressive. And if someone is violating your rights, that is not the point at which we have to accept that mistreatment, especially when you're trying to help them with their problems and they're taking you and using you as a punching bag. That's a sign that we may, if we are accepting those kinds of things in our lives, that might be a sign that we're accepting and tolerating the intolerable. And maybe we need to reevaluate and see, what are we worthy of? Is our self-worth? And are we allowing ourselves to be oppressed? Now you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, what about the Prophet? What about all of the righteous predecessors, that they tolerated such intolerable things? So for example, the Prophet Muhammad had trash thrown at him by the famous hadith of the Jewish woman who would throw the trash at him, and one day she wasn't throwing trash, so the Prophet went to visit her and then she accepted Islam. What about that? That is a beautiful situation for a one-on-one situation where it's a one-off. And again, the nature of that person, the Jewish woman, she changed when she realized the beauty of the Prophet's treatment to her. But if you have been treating someone well day in and day out for years, and their behavior doesn't change, then we have to take another look and say, is this something, are we oppressing our own selves and not doing justice to someone else? And a lot of people, we have kind hearts, especially people who struggle with depression and anxiety. We have kind hearts. We want to help people. We want to be kind. We don't want to hurt people's feelings, right? But sometimes we are hurting ourselves by trying to do kindness to others. And if we are allowing someone to mistreat us, that is a disservice to them as well as us. And there was a famous tradition of one of the scholars and one of the urafa, and he was asked, how do we, and I think this was a hadith. The hadith of the Prophet was, help the oppressor and the oppressed. And the question was, how do you stop the oppression or the harm of the oppressor and the oppressed? We understand how to stand with the oppressed, but how do we help the oppressor? And you help the oppressor by not accepting their oppression and stopping them from it. So if someone is mistreating you, we don't have the right to allow ourselves to be oppressed by an oppressor. We have to defend our honor and our justice and stand up for ourselves. But again, for years I was tolerating the intolerable. I was accepting mistreatment. And why? Because I didn't believe I was worth more. And the activity that I share in the book below, at the link below, this resource, this activity is something that really helps provide instant relief. So when I'm feeling really down about myself, or feeling really hard on myself, or when I'm feeling really stressed out and really sad, or when I'm feeling miserable and like I don't have anywhere to go in life, this activity really helps to bring joy and instant peace, instant relief. And it's a sign of my own love for my own soul and how much I take care of myself and don't allow myself to be oppressed, not by others and not by my own self. And one of the principles of Islam is that a Muslim does not allow himself or herself to be oppressed. We cannot allow oppression for ourselves. Allah honored Bani Adam. The Quran says, قَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam. We have honored the children of Adam. How can we allow ourselves to be dishonored when Allah has given us honor as a right? And if we allow ourselves to be mistreated, we'll be taken advantage of, and we're not doing honor to Allah's creation. We don't have the right to oppress others. How can we allow ourselves to oppress ourselves and to be oppressed by others? So again, this resource, if you look in the link below, and again, if you comment or share, you'll be able to see the link. And I encourage you to look at this resource, practice these principles, and practice this very beneficial practice. It is so amazing. I can't tell you enough that when you practice this, it helps to bring a state of peace, serenity, and absolute self-love, because it's an act of self-love, and it doesn't require a lot of resources. It doesn't require anything expensive. There are things you can get if you want to, but simply being in the presence of your own home, you can do this activity, and it brings such amazing results. And again, if you find yourself tolerating the intolerable, I strongly encourage you to check out this resource. And again, if you find it beneficial, maybe you can tag someone else who needs it as well. Maybe you know someone who's been going through some difficult times and you want to share this resource with them. Feel free to comment or share and tag other friends in it as well. Because we all can use a helping hand, and we can all use positive actions that make us feel better and to get us out of the misery and the state of despair that we might find ourselves in. So with that, I bid you adieu. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.